Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha 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 Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnu Padmanamhamsa Parivadik Jai Ashtottara Shatashisham Grace Asa Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the Son of devotees, all glories to the Son of devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Ganga. Wow. Flowers falling everywhere. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 8. Dhruva Maharaj leaves home. We're on text 54. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mantrananena devasya. Kuryadravyamayim buddha. Saparyam vivadar dravyar. Deshakala vibhagavit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mantrananena devasya. Kuryadravyamayim buddha. Saparyam vivadar dravyar. Deshakala vibhagavit. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mantrananena devasya. Kuryadravyamayim buddha. Sapayam vivida dravyar Tishakala vibhagavit
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Antranena Devasya.
Patrinena Devasya
Puryadravmaya Nimbuddha.
Puryadravyamaya buddhaha
Varadyam Vididar Dravyar.
Sparyam vivida dravyar
Isakala Vibhargavit.
Vishakala vibhagavit. Hare Krishna. You like to chant? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mantrananena devasya. Kuryadravyamayam buddhaha. Sapayam vivida dravyar. Deshakala vibhagavit. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kuryadravyamayam buddhaha. Samparyam vivida dravyar. Deshakala vibhagavit. Like to chant? What happened? Why not? You're shy? Come on, Ajesh, you're not supposed to be shy. You're never shy.
I know.
This one's difficult for you?
Yeah, I didn't look at the yes, please.
Oh, okay. What about you? If you want, it's up to you. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mantrana nena devasya. Kuryadravyamayam buddhaha. Sapayam vivida dravyar. Deshakala vibhagavit. You want to? Om Namah. Sapayam vivida dravyar. Deshakala vibhagavit. Would you like to try? It's up to you, you don't have to. Okay. Alright, so word by word translation. Om. Please repeat after me. O my Lord. Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. Bhagavate. Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya. Unto the Supreme Lord. Vasudev. Mantrena. By this hymn or mantra. Anena. This. Devasya. Of the Lord. Kuryat. One should do. Dravyamayim. Physical. Buddha. One who is learned. Saparyam. Worship by the prescribed method. Vivadai. With varieties. Dravyai. Paraphernalia. Desha. According to country. Kala. Time. Vibhagavit. One who knows the divisions. Translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the 12-syllable mantra for worshipping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical forms of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuffs exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. So, what's happened is Dhruva Maharaj, he's a young boy, he's 5 years old, and he's the son of a king. So the king happened to have, as traditional times, he happened to have 2 wives. And Dhruva Maharaj was the son of the not-so-favored wife. So Dhruva Maharaj went to sit on the lap of his father with his stepbrother, and then his stepmother told him, get off of your father's lap. And actually, you're not qualified to sit on your father's lap because you're not my son. And if you want to be qualified, you should worship God, you should worship Krishna, and then in your next birth, you could take birth from my womb, and then you could be qualified to sit on your son's lap. Your father's lap. So Dhruva Maharaj, as a young 5-year-old boy, he became very upset, and he went to the forest, 5 years old, and went to the forest, and he wanted to look for God there. So that's what he started to do. And then Narada Muni appeared, this great sage, great devotee. He appeared there, and then he started to instruct Dhruva Maharaj. So this is Narada Muni, this particular verse we're reading today, is Narada Muni instructing Dhruva Maharaj how to become God-realized, self-realized, Krishna-realized. And the method he's giving is to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and other practices. So here's the purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is known as the Dvashakshara mantra. This mantra is chanted by Vaishnava devotees, and it begins with pranava, or omkar. There is an injunction that those who are not Brahmins cannot pronounce the pranava mantra, but Dhruva Maharaj was born a Kshatriya. He at once admitted before Narada Muni that as a Kshatriya he was unable to accept Narada's instructions of renunciation and mental equilibrium, which are the concern of a Brahmin. Still, although not a Brahmin but a Kshatriya, Dhruva was allowed on the authority of Narada to pronounce the pranava omkar. This is very significant. Especially in India, the caste Brahmins object greatly when persons from other castes who are not born in Brahmin families recite this pranava mantra. But here is, what is this? Tacit proof that if a person accepts the Vaishnava mantra or Vaishnava way of worshipping the deity, he is allowed to chant the pranava mantra. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord personally accepts that anyone, even one of a low species, can be elevated to the highest position and go back home, back to Godhead, simply if he worships properly. The prescribed rules, as stated here by Narada Muni, are that one should accept the mantra through a bona fide spiritual master and hear the mantra in the right ear. Not only should one chant or murmur the mantra, but in front of him he must have the deity or physical form of the Lord. Of course, when the Lord appears, it is no longer a physical form. For example, when an iron rod is made red hot in a fire, it is no longer iron, it is fire. Similarly, when we make a form of the Lord, whether of wood or stone or metal or jewels or paint or even a form within the mind, it is a bona fide spiritual transcendental form of the Lord. Not only must one receive this mantra from the bona fide spiritual master like Narada Muni or his representative in the cyclic succession, but one must chant the mantra. So you have to receive it and you have to chant it. Can't just receive it. And not only must one chant, but he should also offer whatever foodstuff is available in his part of the world, according to time and convenience. The method of worship, chanting the mantra and preparing the forms of the Lord, is not stereotyped, nor is it exactly the same everywhere. It is specifically mentioned in this verse that one should take consideration of the time, place, and available conveniences. Our Krishna consciousness movement is going on throughout the entire world, and we also install deities in different centers. Sometimes our Indian friends, puffed up with concocted notions, criticize. This has not been done, that has not been done. But they forget this instruction of Narada Muni to one of the greatest Vaishnavas, Dhruva Maharaj. One has to consider the particular time, country, and conveniences. What is convenient in India may not be convenient in the Western countries. Those who are not actually in the line of acharyas, or who personally have no knowledge of how to act in the role of acharya, unnecessarily criticize the activities of the ISKCON movement in countries outside of India. The fact is that such critics cannot do anything personally to spread Krishna consciousness. If someone does go and preach, taking all risks and allowing all considerations for time and place, it might be that there are changes in the manner of worship, but that is not at all faulty according to Shastra, scripture. Srimad Vira Raghava Acharya, an acharya in the disciplic succession of the Ramanuja Sampradaya, has remarked in his commentary that chandalas, which means dog eaters, or conditioned souls who are born in lower than Shudra families can also be initiated according to circumstances. The formalities may be slightly changed here and there to make them Vaishnavas. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that his name should be heard in every nook and corner of the world. How is this possible unless one preaches everywhere? The cult of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagavat Dharma, and he especially recommends Krishna Katha, or the cult of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He recommends that every Indian, considering this task to be para upakar, or welfare activity, take the Lord's message to other residents of the world. Other residents of the world does not refer only to those who are exactly like the Indian Brahmins and Kshatriyas, or like the caste Brahmins, who claim to be Brahmins because they were born in the families of Brahmins. Period. The principle that only Indians and Hindus should be brought into the Vaishnava cult is a mistaken idea. There should be propaganda to bring everyone to the Vaishnava cult. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for this purpose. There is no bar to propagating the Krishna consciousness movement even among people who are born in Chandala, Mlecha, or Yavana families. Even in India, this point has been enunciated by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his book Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is Smriti and is the authorized Vedic guide for Vaishnavas in their daily behavior. Sanatana Goswami says that as bell metal can turn into gold when mixed with mercury in a chemical process, so by the bona fide diksha, or initiation method, anyone can become a Vaishnava. One should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master coming in the disciplic succession, who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is called Diksha Vidhan. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Vipar Shritya, one should accept a spiritual master. By this process, the entire world can be converted to Krishna consciousness. Om Ganatimadandasya Gananjana Shilakaya Chukshulanvaditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nukam Kadidavachalam Pangam Langai Tekidim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinditaranam Vancha Kaparibhishcha Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll read the translation again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the 12-syllable mantra for worshiping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical forms of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuff, exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. Last time I went to India, it was 2017, and I went to this Govardhan retreat. So Govardhan is a place on the outskirts of Vrindavan, or in Vrindavan, and it's specifically the hill that Krishna lifted 5,000 years ago. So devotees go out there, and there was classes and kirtans, and so there was devotees from all over the world there. There's devotees from Europe, there's devotees from China, there's devotees from Russia, there's devotees, a few devotees from America. So when we were all sitting there taking prasadam, I was walking down the aisle, and I saw a few Madhujis, or a few women devotees there sitting. And there was one from China, and there was one from maybe Russia or Europe, and then there was one from India. They're all sitting right next to each other. So the devotee from China, she had her chopsticks. She was taking prasadam with the chopsticks, rice and whatever sabji, vegetables she was taking with the chopsticks. And then the European or Russian, she was probably Russian. She was taking her lunch with a spoon. And then the Indian Mataji, she was taking her lunch with her hand. So it was chopsticks, a spoon in their hand. So, and they're all sitting right next to each other. So I was going, oh, this is kind of interesting. And when I was in, when I went on the way back from, I was bouncing around like a pinball. But on the way back from India, I stopped in China, and then I went back to India anyways. I was going all over. Quite interesting flight program. So I was there in China, and then there was some devotees there, Chinese devotees. And one of them, she was saying that how she was just in India. And she was saying, yeah, I really liked India. I really, I had a really good time, and, chanting and everything, and all the devotees. And she said, but I really miss this soup, because we were all sitting around having some soup. And it was some Chinese soup, of course, vegetarian, all that. There's tofu and this and that. And so I really miss this soup, because the soup wasn't available there in India. It's just, in India, they're just having dal, boiled dal soup. So yeah, according to, I was talking to one Chinese devotee, Grunga Prem, in Los Angeles, and he was telling me, oh, when you go to China, devotees, they really love tofu there. So some of the preparations just have tofu. So you have to be ready for that. I said, okay. So according to where one is in the world, of course, you could say the essence of Krishna consciousness is the same. You go there, they're chanting Hare Krishna. They have deities on the altar, forms of Krishna they're worshiping on the altar. But their prasadam may be different. They may be cooking different preparations with tofu. And then you go to India, and they don't do that. And you come to SanDiego, or you said you went to Mexico City, right? And they had a lot of chilies in their lunch. In their prasadam. So you could say the essence of Krishna consciousness remains the same, but some of the, you could say, details or some of the local customs may arise and prevail, and usually they do. So when the Srila Prabhupada is mentioning this in the purport, that according to time, place, and circumstance, there's different, ways in which Krishna consciousness is introduced and different methods for people to become Krishna conscious. Just like when Srila Prabhupada first came to San Francisco. It was actually his first time on a plane, because he came to America on a boat. So then he was flying from New York to San Francisco. And when he arrived in San Francisco, they established a temple, and Srila Prabhupada, he introduced the worship of Lord Jagannath. So you see Lord Jagannath here, the far right, form of Krishna, blackish form. And how the worship of Jagannath was introduced was quite interesting. Malati Devi, she was out shopping one day. And she went into an Indian store where they sell all types of stuff from India. And she saw these little forms. And it was Jagannath. She saw Jagannath, and she got Jagannath. And she brought this statue to Srila Prabhupada. And she went into Srila Prabhupada's room, and she put the statue on Prabhupada's desk. And then Prabhupada, he started offering prayers, and he got up and he actually bowed down. And he said, "Oh, this is Lord Jagannath, the Lord of the universe." So he's been worshipped in India for thousands and thousands of years. So then Srila Prabhupada had a disciple, Shyamasundar Prabhu. He's still around. And he asked Shyamasundar to carve Lord Jagannath and Baladev and Subhadra. So he did that. And then he installed the deities. He put them on the altar. And the method of worship which he established was very simple. Does anyone remember what it was?
Birthday candles.
Yeah, birthday candles and
Offer little birthday candles.
yeah, like whatever the local hippies brought.
And sparkling lights.
Yeah, sparkling lights. Whatever the local hippies brought, they just dropped off in front of Lord Jagannath. And Prabhupada was okay with that. He said, "Okay, this." But it was the beginning of the worship, and over time it becomes more elaborate. So, and in relation to this, especially within India, as Srila Prabhupada's mentioned in the purport, he's saying that, he said, sometimes our Indian friends who are puffed up or proud with concocted ideas, they criticize us and they say, "Oh, we went to your temple in Australia or in America and they're doing this or they're not doing that." And Srila Prabhupada actually got a lot of flack, you could say, from people, including his godbrothers, means the disciples of his guru, his godbrothers. So, and one time in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada was there in his room, and he was there with a bunch of Indian guests, and they were complaining about his Western disciples. Because maybe they didn't have all the, etiquette or all the culture or all the, do's and don'ts down. So they were making mistakes left and right. So the Indians, who you could say by training and culture and from birth, a lot of them, they know the basic formalities and etiquette of customs, social customs of Indian civilization or Vedic civilization. So they started criticizing the disciples to Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada became quite upset. Actually, became angry, upset, and he said, "Okay, that may be true, but whatever I tell them to do, they do it. Means whatever instructions I give them, they follow, and they're spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world." And he said, "Whatever I tell you to do, you don't do. And by the way, what are you doing to spread Krishna consciousness?" More or less, Srila Prabhupada was saying that. So, although some people, they may have knowledge, because you could say that a lot of Srila Prabhupada's disciples did have knowledge, because Srila Prabhupada was imparting so much knowledge to them. They're reading his books, But maybe they didn't have the culture. But some people, they have the culture, right? They know how to do everything, but they don't have the knowledge. So really, Srila Prabhupada wants us to have both, the culture and the knowledge. And therefore, there are so many instructions within the Srimad Bhagavatam, within Bhagavad Gita, and so many other books, how to be cultured according to the Krishna according to the Krishna conscious version, and what to speak of knowledge. It's just full of knowledge. Srila Prabhupada's books. So here, Srila Prabhupada is also mentioning this idea that one cannot become qualified as a devotee of Krishna or as a Vaishnava unless they are born in India. Some people think that. So in other words, if you're born in America as an American, or whatever, then you are immediately disqualified from becoming a Vaishnava, a devotee of Krishna. Immediately. There's no chance of you becoming a Vaishnava or devotee. So we would all be, you were born in India, right, Ujeshri?
Yes.
Okay, I guess you're qualified. But everybody else would be immediately disqualified, right? According to this wrong conception. So, but nonetheless, this is there. People think that. Still, even nowadays within India, people think that. So Srila Prabhupada, following, you could say, the predictions of Scripture, because the predictions of Scripture say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, Lord Chaitanya, who's Krishna himself, coming 500 years ago, his name will be spread throughout the whole entire world. And as Prabhupada mentions here, heard in every nook and corner of the world, which is coming to be more and more as the days go on. So this prediction, so if his name is heard in every place of the world, how is it that those who are chanting his name throughout the world are not his devotees? They have to be his devotees to be chanting. So this is a wrong conception, and once some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they went to a temple in India. So they went to the temple and they were taking darshan of the deities, going into the temple, looking at the forms of Krishna. So, I mean, even people go as far as just, they won't even let you in the temple sometimes. Oh, you're from Western countries, you're just immediately disqualified, uncultured, you can't even go into the temple. Still, nowadays, there's a few temples like that in India. So they went into the temple, Prabhupada's disciples, and they were looking at Krishna. And then there was the priest there, the pujari. And he said that, oh, it's very nice that you are chanting Hare Krishna and that you're, trying to be Vaishnavas and trying to be devotees of Krishna. And in your next life, if you continue in this fashion, you could take birth in India. And then you could become pujaris, you become priests, and you could go onto the altar. So that's what he said. So then the devotees, they went back and they reported to Prabhupada what happened. And then Prabhupada told them, asked them, oh, what did you tell to them? And at that time, the devotees didn't say anything. More or less, they didn't say anything. They probably didn't know what to say. Probably a little shocking, too. It's like, oh, what is this person saying? Sometimes you're kind of speechless when people say interesting things to you. So, Srila Prabhupada said, you should have told him that it's very nice that you're engaging in this deity worship and that you're in India. And if you continue in this fashion, that in your next life, you'll take birth in America. And then you'll join the Hare Krishna movement and you'll be able to preach the Sankirtan movement. You'll be able to spread the Hare Krishna movement. So that's what Prabhupada said you should have told him. So so Prabhupada didn't accept this idea at all, that, oh, one has to be Indian. Because, after all, I mean, in the scripture, right, the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, the Bengali verse, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Saddhikabanoy Shravanada Shuddha Chitte Korayadoy, that love for Krishna, or Krishna consciousness, is established in the hearts of all living entities. And by chanting and hearing about Krishna, that love awakens, or the Krishna consciousness awakens. So we should be very happy, very glad that Srila Prabhupada had such a broad understanding and such a clear understanding, which, practically speaking, for his time, he was, practically speaking, the only one who really had it. And if people did have it, then maybe they would have done it, the same thing he did, or tried to do it. Just like they say, you know, when somebody says does something great, people say, "Oh, I could have done that." Or just like in school, right? Somebody answers the question, and then the other student says, "Oh, I knew that." Right? "Oh, why didn't you raise your hand?" Right? "Why didn't you give the answer?" So there was right. I think it was Christopher Columbus, or they were trying to figure out, oh, how do you balance an egg, you know? So then he cut it in half, and then he put it there.
You tap the end.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
He asked them, you balance it.
Oh,
Because they were saying, well, we could have.
yeah, we could have.
You did.
Yeah.
He said, okay. He said, well, they said, what was the genius in that? So he took a hard-boiled egg. He said, balance it. Stand there on sand. So many of them tried. Nobody could do it. And he just tapped the end so it was flat, and then balanced.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we could have done that. He said, but you didn't.
Yeah, but you didn't. So similarly, people say, some people, it's like really weird and strange why people would say, you know, just envious people. Oh, well, you know, Prabhupada did that, but I could have done that, or somebody else. Oh, well, but they didn't. You know, he did it. Or they may criticize, you know, the Hare Krishna movement for different reasons. And on and on and on. So the point is that Srila Prabhupada had this vision, and we should be very thankful, very happy, very glad that he did. Or else we would really not be, we really wouldn't be engaging in Krishna consciousness, unless, I don't know, maybe some of us wandered off to India. And I mean, sometimes you hear devotees, how they became devotees, and some of them say, oh yeah, I was thinking about going off into the Himalayas. Were you thinking about going to the Himalayas? Or you thinking about going to India? Were you thinking?
I was on my way to the Himalayas.
Yeah. Were you going to India too? You were too? Okay. I wasn't. Anyways, but I got Prabhupada's book, and I was like 16, and I read it, and I came here when I was 17 or whatever. But somehow or other, I didn't have that idea. You know, I was still searching locally. I didn't give up on my local search. That was the point. I was going to churches and stuff. So yeah, Prabhupada had that broad vision, and therefore he endeavored with great determination, great focus, so much energy to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world and inspire others to do the same thing. So in our own way, we can try to do that. Means our own way that we may not spread Krishna consciousness like Srila Prabhupada did, not in terms of quantity, but in terms of how he did it. But we should try. And anybody and everybody is actually qualified. Because what is the qualification to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy in this age? Chant Hare Krishna, that's true. But what qualities does one have to have? They have to be fallen. In other words, they have to be not very, even not very spiritually qualified, not spiritually enlightened, and attached, you could say, to this world and materialism. And so, in other words, they are completely, what's it called? Completely, they're far from Krishna consciousness. They're far from spiritual consciousness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's specifically coming for those people. He's not coming for people, super qualified. He's coming for people who aren't qualified. So if we say, I'm not qualified, okay, good. Wonderful. You're qualified. You're not qualified? Okay, that's your qualification. So, and yeah, it's not, Indian or American, on and on and on. It has nothing to do with it. That's all. Prabhupada would criticize that left and right, actually. People think, oh, I'm Indian, I'm American, I'm this, I'm that. Prabhupada just criticize, no, you're spirit soul. So Krishna consciousness, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam is not for Hindus, it's for humans. As Bhajanarayan Swami was saying the other day, there's not Chinese math and, right, Arabic math and English, there's American math, it's math. So spiritual knowledge is for everybody, no matter who we are. So Dhruva Maharaj has just been given the mantra, and as Prabhupada says, he was given it, but he also has to chant it. So those those of us who have been given the Hare Krishna mantra, which is all of us in this room, we have to chant too. So if one is given a large sum of money, an intelligent person may, right, put it in the bank or put it in their savings account or use it sparingly or in a nice way. They just don't throw it away. So similarly, one who has been given the Hare Krishna mantra, which is all of us, we do not, we want to utilize it. We want to engage, we want to chant, engage our mind in the Hare Krishna mantra, and not just throw it away in different, which could be, you could say, seen in different ways. What does it mean to throw it away? So Dhruva Maharaj is going to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya over and over and over again. That is called chanting. And by that chanting, he's going to realize Krishna, realize Vishnu, and actually Vishnu, Krishna, he's going to appear to him personally. He's going to have darshan soon. So that's available also for us. So does anyone have any questions or comments or anything? Anybody like, yes? There's they want you to be amplified.
Oh.
People are listening online.
Oh, okay.
There's a few souls listening.
I was just curious, are those temples that you were talking about that sometimes deny like Westerners to come in, are they like based mostly off of Krishna, or is it like just Hindu temples in general, some Hindu temples?
Well, yeah, there's this temple in a place called Jagannath Puri, a huge temple, huge. And in the temple is Lord Jagannath, like we have here, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So really big, though, really big forms of Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. And they do take care of the deities quite nicely. I mean, they get 54 offerings a day, like means cooked offerings, food. And they're huge quantities. They feed thousands of people daily. So in that temple, Westerners aren't allowed, which it's a Krishna temple. So there's probably other temples which Westerners aren't allowed. But some devotees, they sneak into the temple. They may have a white complexion, but somehow or other, I don't know, they put on makeup, or God knows what they do, but put on a chadar over their head. Yeah, put a scarf over their head and they sneak in. And actually, Lord Jagannath and Baladev and Subhadra, they come out once a year. on these big carts, like we have in Los Angeles, the Rath Yatra. They go through the streets. So devotees, everybody could see him at that time. But Srila Prabhupada didn't like that, and he actually criticized that when he was in Puri. He was saying, he's Jaga, which means universe, Nath. He's the Lord of the universe. And Prabhupada said he's not the Lord of Puri, which is the city. He's the Lord of the universe, so why can't everybody see the Lord of the universe? It means, yeah, so that was Prabhupada. But they have this conception, oh, Westers, you know, they're engaging in, for example, meat eating and stuff like that. But, I mean, these Indians that go there every day, I mean, a lot of them, or at least some of them, are not following the principles that the Western Vaishnavas are following. So anyways...
Some of the priests eat fish.
Mm. So, yeah. So the Krishna temples, other temples, sometimes Westerners aren't allowed. So does anyone have any other questions or comments? Okay. All right. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.